Welcome to another episode of Courageous Healing. I am the producer and co-host, Victor Escalante. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm great. I'm here. I am the co-host. I am happy to be here.
You got news to tell our listeners. You've been very active on your end in Louisiana market. So tell us what you've been up to.
I've been up to a couple of things. One is I'm hoping really soon that we'll be able to let you guys know that the audiobook is out. It should be out any minute now. I'm waiting for that. Waiting to get news on that one. They told me it was going to take 10 days, but it looks like it might have a few more days before it gets approval.
And let me tell you, listeners, both Adele and I obviously had to listen to the entire book. And I don't know if it's biased, but I actually like the audiobook more than the written book. I don't know how you felt about it, Adele.
I loved it. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I think it's a really great fresh perspective to hear it in the audio version and to really get the story with inflection. And the narrator that we picked is absolutely extraordinary. Super
Yes.
to have had her do this as well.
It's only, like 2 hours?
It's only 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. So what do you got to lose? If you got a road trip, throw in the book. You can listen to it driving. If you're stuck in rush hour traffic, pull up the book. Feed your mind. Because I think you'll find it interesting and very educational.
Yeah. So we should be able to announce that in a few days. And then the other thing is I'm working on a workshop, and this workshop is going to just help you reprogram some of the things conversations that you're having with yourself. And the importance about that is that I really think that part of the healing process is to get into your subconscious and to really start to listen to the things that the conversations that you're having within you. And the only way you can do that is to make your subconscious your conscious and be aware of it.
Why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners, give them a taste of what they can expect in this workshop?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about your I am statements. We're going to talk about whether you're saying you're not worthy. I am not worthy. I am not worthy of receiving love. I am not worthy of having a good job. I am not worthy of making money. I am not worthy of, all of the things. And we're going to redo those statements, and we're going to go through a process where you're going to come out on the other end and you're going to have new statements and new ways that you're going to be able to not only reprogram yourself, but these things are believable. This is who you are.
Yes.
So having these beautiful statements that you can read every day is going to also build your confidence. It's going to help you recognize that you are a wonderful human being and that you can have all of the wonderful things that you want.
And you can accelerate your healing process. Yes.
Exactly.
The whole thing is to accelerate the healing process rather than going at it at snail pace. You can quantum leap your healing through this kind of workshop because it's an awakening. It's a transformation.
Absolutely. And this workshop, we're going to have a couple of different separate workshops. One is going to be for women who have been through trauma. That one's going to be separate. All of these are going to be very small and very intimate because we want everybody to be able to have time to not feel like they're overshadowed if they need to speak up. And we want it to be a comfortable and safe space, first of all. So we're going to have one for women who have been through trauma. Then we're going to have one for people who just want to level up in their space. And this can be for entrepreneurs and people in that narrative as well. And then we're going to have one for men as well. So I'm going to lead the one for women. Victor, you'll come in on the last day and just do a wonderful meditation to help them lock in all the work that they did and walk away from this, with a newfound sense of purpose. And it'll be the same, but as far as the ones that are entrepreneurs and men, those will probably be led by both Victor and I. And we might just do one just for people. If there's one that I have enough women who are like, hey, look, I haven't been through any really dramatic trauma, but I'd really love to go through this because I'd love to, spiral up in my life. We'll probably have another group for that as well. My goal is to really kind of start this towards the end of the year, the beginning of 2026. When we're in that whole new year, new me mindset.
Mhm.
I'm not a big person who believes in New Year's resolutions, but we always know a new year is a really great time to just kind of step off in the right foot. It'll be on the other side of the holidays and all of that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to being able to bring this to everybody. And I'm looking forward to being able to do this with you, Victor.
I'm excited. I'm excited because around the new year, there's also fresh energy. There's new growth, there's new opportunities. So I'm excited also.
Yeah.
So, Adele, what are we going to talk about today?
So today I want to talk about your identity and clinging to your past and how that affects your identity. And I think it's a really big topic, and I think it's a really important topic in the sense that one of the things that uh, for healing, one of the important things with healing is moving past what's happened to you. But there's multiple ways to do that. And when you have a trauma happen, it changes your identity. It changes and it instantaneously changes who you are. But you can get past that. And so I like to Victor's heard me say this a bunch of times now. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he has a quote that he frequently says where he says, your personality is your personal reality. So if you want to make changes, you have to change your personality. And one of the things that affects your personality is obviously your identity and how you identify with the past and how you identify with things that happen to you.
Sure. So I don't want to nerd out here in this discussion, but if you remember from your NLP training, Adele,
Yeah.
there's a hierarchy in terms of how our identity is created, according to the great anthropologist Gregory Bateson, to where we're born into an environment, and for especially for victims of domestic violence, that environment determines our behaviors or the lack of behaviors that we develop, and then that affects our capabilities, our lack of capabilities, which in turn affects our beliefs. And again, as we keep climbing this hierarchy, we get to the identity, which for most people, it's outside of their awareness. So what we're talking about here is making aware the invisible, the unconscious, making conscious the unconscious, so that you can begin to analyze who you think you are, because who you think you are is merely a representation of beliefs, and that's fluid. That can change. That is not frozen.
Right.
So what do you think about that, Adele?
I think it's important that we that it that that's something that people understand. I think that they understand that. I mean, I don't know how many times I've had several friends like this, where all of a sudden you haven't heard from them in like 2 or 3 months, and when they come and they emerge back into life, they're a different person.
Yes.
It's because they went in within themselves and they did some work. Something changed, and they did some work, and they made some decisions to change their life. But it's not just about making a decision. It's about actually executing that decision. And we weren't talking about simple stuff like changing how you're going to eat, even though we know that that's not all that easy. But we're not talking about actual concrete things like that. We're talking about you latching onto your past and being a victim of your past. If you want to, and Victor, this is your term and I really like it, springboard your healing,
Yes.
you have to move past your past. And again, we're not therapists. We're not here to tell you, you have to make sure that you go and you talk to a therapist if this is stuff that's really interfering with your day to day life. But you need to know that you can lay down your past, and it's okay to lay down your past, because we know that a lot of people that have been through trauma and then have been through hurt tend to grab onto that and they hold onto it fiercely, and it becomes this is who I am. This is just who I am. So when, you get in an argument or a disagreement or someone does something that they call you out on, and your response is, well, this is just who I am because of what I've been through. Listen, that's your subconscious. And that's with the things that you can teach. Who are you? What are you defining? So you're defining, this is who I am. I'm not going to trust people because of being betrayed before. I'm going to say, I'm not going to trust. So then all of a sudden, I am a person who doesn't trust. Whereas the difference would be I am a person who does trust. And I trust that I would know the difference between someone who's being disrespectful to me and someone who's not.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here is two mindsets, two paradigms. One of a victim paradigm, another one of a sage mind paradigm, which is your real true nature, not the victim identity that you created. It's about gradually making that shift. I'll tell you something, Dell, in my experience in doing deep and profound work with clients, sometimes they don't know who they are when they totally release the trauma and all the feelings that they've been carrying around. I had a lady that I worked with this past Saturday, and we literally went into her timeline and went into every single experience, major experience she had ever lived through, because she was dealing with feelings of worthlessness. Okay. And the presenting problem was that she has difficulty in business development and being able to sell her services. Is it any wonder? Because she doesn't feel worthy inside herself, much less project value and worth that she's trying to help others. So by doing that, I was able to help her to identify how she was carrying all this guilt and shame and fear into the present, and she really needed to let that go. My point in telling you this is that the route that Adele is taking you is a more gentler. It's a gradual involution, and here I'm quoting Carolyn Mays, famous healer author, where she says that we heal by going inside and doing that involution, so then we can have the evolution, the outer growth.
And the thing is that if you're in talk therapy and you go through this, it's actually can be really wonderful because you're going to get to the point where you're going to start realizing that when you're in talk therapy, you're going to be talking differently. You're going to be talking about yourself differently. You're going to be starting to see your environment differently. So I really feel strongly about the fact that um, this is a journey that I've been on and I've done, and this is a journey that you've done as well, Victor. I mean, we've both done this in our lives. We've had to come to the fact that carrying, I mean, that whole term about like weight upon your shoulders, when you let the past go. First of all, when you let the past go, the past needs to stay in the past. That's the past.
Yes.
First of all. Secondly, your body doesn't necessarily know the difference between the past and the present. You carry the past, the more that you struggle with the carrying and you want to continue to keep that with you, you can literally keep your body in a fight or flight mode, which is not healthy
Yeah.
for you at all. So you want homeostasis, which is another Joseph Spenzor, but you want homeostasis in your body. And in order to do that, you need to be present in the present moment. And in order to do that, you can't carry the past with you. So it's something that you have to move through and you have to it's insidious. It's insidious. It's so insidious because even so much so that when we started to write this book, I was questioning whether or not this was like, nobody's going to want this. Who am I? I'm nobody. I have no, it's so we all still do it. We just have the tools to go, no, this is important.
I have to nerd out on the word homeostasis because I happen to know what it at a deep level what that means. That means reaching a point in yourself, in your being, to where there is an inner harmony or an inner congruence. There is a leveling. There is an adjustment to where you are being. You are just that piece being yourself without any fear or of anything. Okay, it's like you're just being. You're aligned to the Christ energy. You've learned the lessons you needed to learn, so that you can be of service to others. Because I don't know I know in your experience, Adele, when you heal from deep trauma, you want to be able to help others. You want to be able to advocate for them when they can't advocate for themselves and when they don't know how specifically.
Right. You do. You do, and it changes your world. It
Don't
changes your world around you. And it's not about what you put up with or what you don't put up with. It changes your life. And then that is, again, because I can repeat this over and over again, your personality creates your personal reality. Your personal reality is going to change. All of a sudden, you're going to see things that no longer fit in your life. They no longer serve you because there are things that fed that side of you. They fed that insecure or they fed you clinging to the past. So when you can let go and you can lay down the past and you can move forward and you can be present, you're not only present for yourself, but you're present for everyone else and everyone else in your life that you love. And I think that that's important. I think that not living in a space and being comfortable with the unknown and being comfortable with not knowing what the future holds, but living from your heart and living from your
Yep.
dream.
That reminds me of a quote. We cannot connect the dots moving forward. We can only connect the dots moving back. And so once we connect the dots of what was the necessary lessons, what is the soul's journey for you to learn to extract awareness from your past so that you don't end up repeating the same mistake, because once you have awareness you can never lose it. It's
Right.
just being able to now use that awareness so that again you don't end up repeating the same mistakes. I heard something deeply profound today, Dale. Awareness, think of awareness as being nothing more than just being aware that you are of that small micro energy of God energy in you. You're listening to Courageous Healing Podcast. We'll be right back.
What does it take to rise after the unthinkable? Courageous Healing is the powerful true story of Adele M. George, a woman who survived the unimaginable and chose not just to live, but to heal, thrive, and lead. From the shadows of domestic violence to becoming a voice of strength for survivors, Adele takes you on a raw, unfiltered journey of resilience, redemption, and hope. If you or someone you love is on a healing journey, this book is your companion, your inspiration, your proof that survival is just the beginning. Courageous Healing, now available on Amazon. Start your healing. Rewrite your story.
We now return you to the Courageous Healing Podcast. That small spark in you that you are divine, that you are godlike, and that again, when you develop that awareness, you are totally present oriented, you're mindful, you're mindful of how you treat your body, you're mindful of how you talk to yourself, and you're also mindful towards others, having that deep respect that you now carry because again, you're now taking care of that inner temple that lies within you. You are that microcosm of source so that you never disrespect your body and your being again.
Right. Exactly. And the other thing too is trauma victims have trouble, and I was one of them, have trouble, and you too, trusting your instincts.
Yes.
And so when you lay all of this stuff down, your intuition and your instincts
Sure.
kick in.
It's opening up your heart and getting out of your head because your head can be full of rabbit holes and it can be a trap that you can get. And I'm speaking for personal experience. I'm in recovery of being hyper rational, that everything had to be scientific, everything had to make sense. Well, no, there's some things that don't make sense. Okay. The big mystery of life does not make sense. And to quote you again, being comfortable with the mystery, with the unknown, because therein that's where the magic lies, is trusting the universe and living the magic in the unknown, in the mystery.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you're going to have your coincidences and your synchronicities, and your
Yes.
miracles and your wonderful things that are going to happen. And this goes much greater and much deeper because one of the things that, you know, and this is not something I'm qualified to talk about, but I'm understanding it is when you are in consistent and constant fight or flight mode and you have these hormones consistently flowing through your body, you're upsetting the homeostasis of your body. You're
Yeah.
upsetting the balance of your body, and that causes diseases.
So let me talk about that.
Disease.
There's two kinds of nervous systems. There is the sympathetic nervous system. That is the nervous system that typically is going to be the trauma nervous system that sends all the triggers, all the signals to the brain, to the emotional part of your brain. That is the limbic system. That's also where the amygdala is, which is your trigger response. That it is triggered in milliseconds. If you feel unsafe, that's going to be triggered. And again, that part of the brain does not know the difference between the present and when you were a little girl or when you were much younger. Okay. It's just going off like an alarm that you need to pay attention. You need to make sure that you're safe. Okay. So that's the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is the part of the nervous system that calms down the other part of the nervous system to where you get back into homeostasis. So one triggers the fight, flight, or freeze response. The other one calms you back and gets you into homeostasis. That's where you do the techniques of deep breathing, walking exercise, aromatherapy. There's many things that you can do, which we've covered in the past, Adele. Tips of how to regulate your sympathetic nervous system so that you're not constantly in this fight or flight response.
Absolutely. And if you have difficulty regulating that, then seek out some help. Victor and I are advocates of getting help in any way, from everything from things like medication all the way to spiritual healing. So it's a step-by-step process. So
Yeah.
you might have to start with medication in order for you to be able to regulate yourself, in order to be able to find the space to do the deep breathing or the meditation or go for the walk or find your spiritual healing path or whatever. So I definitely want to be able to say that you can move through these steps whichever way you want. And, if you're doing something like an NLP, if working with you, where you do an NLP session where you can cut some of this stuff off before it starts to explode.
Yeah.
So I really think that there's different ways to strangle it, and everyone's different. And there's different ways to, I call it strangling it, to strangle it and to stop it and then to just lay it down behind you. And even for me, the visualization of me, and I'm doing this with my hand where I'm pushing things behind me and it's on the floor behind me. It's behind me. It's nothing that I need to go back and pick up.
I
You-
just got through working on a lady, Adele, that she was suffering from PTSD because she was working for a government agency. And because there was a change in policy, basically she was decapitated and thrown out like yesterday's trash with no honor, no friendly separation, just basically thrown out. And once and what made it so difficult is there was no honor in this. That she had sacrificed years of her life in service of this agency. And just to be thrown out like yesterday's trash was so traumatic that she literally had a nervous breakdown. That's how deep the trauma went. And of course, the brain learns instantly. And so from that day forward, she began to PTSD. In as little as a 15-minute session using brain spotting, which is the next generation of EMDR. Those of you that may be familiar with it, EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization response. There are tools, there are techniques, there's practitioners out there that can help facilitate and accelerate your healing as opposed to going at it at a snail's pace.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think it's important. And take a moment to talk about Escalante Mind Recode, because I want people to understand really where you're coming from with this. and understand what you're trying to do. Because while you and I are on a path together, you're also taking on projects separately, but we're still doing all of this together.
Oh, totally. So I'm glad you asked that question, and thank you for asking it. So Escalante Mind Recode is a proprietary system that I've designed in order to pull together basically this whole suite of techniques, processes, and healing that incorporates clinical hypnosis, positive intelligence, which positive intelligence incorporates 5 different disciplines, brain spotting, which I just explained, neurolinguistic programming, as well as emotional intelligence. So it's a lot of uh, proprietary tools that I've developed. No one taught me a lot of this. I learned the basics, but then I began to see that there were things that were missing. That's why I was constantly searching for that magic bullet that would be able to instantly heal someone. And what I discovered is there is no magic bullet. You got to do the work. Now, have expert guidance in doing the work, and that's where I've combined the whole suite of services into one practice that I can do. I worked on a lady the other day, Adele, that in 15 minutes I also healed her fear of public speaking because she was traumatized from junior high. And mind you, junior high, she'd been struggling with public speaking. Now she's a chatterbox, and she needs to do a lot of public speaking in her profession, but she was holding back. Now she's fearless. Okay.
Right. And that's and that's why I love the fact that you and I are doing all of this work.
And don't cut yourself short because you are about to be certified as a practitioner of NLP because you've been with me studying NLP every single weekend for the past year.
Yes, I am. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited about taking, what I know and what my journey is and finding ways to able to help people heal. So I think it's important that people understand the biggest thing you and I are passionate about is the healing and understanding that you can shift your identity and you don't have to be and you don't have to be your past, and you can let go of your past.
Yeah.
And this is something that, Victor and I are going to be on a stage coming to you one day. If
Yes.
we're going to be there, we're going to be talking to you about this. I mean, we're not only wanting you to heal, but we're wanting to motivate you. We don't need to live a better life, and we're wanting you to do the work. And the work, I won't say it's easy, but if you have support, it makes it easier.
It's not easy, but it's not impossible. Okay. You
It,
just got to do the work, trust the process.
it-
I want to end with something that is humorous, Adele. People that are reading the book are asking you, "What's your relationship with Victor? Why don't you talk about that?"
Right. Oh my God, it's so great. I mean, everybody's wanting to know more because, I mean, it's not like, well, first of all, we have to be clear about the fact that up until last year, you and I had never met in person.
Even though we've known each other for over 20 years.
Right. So, but, we come from a time where internet friends was a thing.
Yes.
And you made really good friends with people who didn't live in your area, and you stuck it out and you stayed friends with them. And that's basically what it is. And so people are asking me because they've never heard me talk about you. They've never heard me say anything like, they're like, "Who's Victor? And how do you know this person?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys." Like, and so I'm like, "Well, first of all, you got to read the book if you want to know about."
And I listened to the prologue in the book, and I found it hilarious what I wrote about the prologue because I was totally being transparent and authentic in terms of how we met and how we've cultivated and maintained this friendship for, like I said, listeners, for over 2 decades.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you don't have to have your friends right here local with you.
Yes.
Victor and I have been rocks for each other in times and guidance and helping, when, we needed it. And our instincts, and we trusted our instincts. Our instincts
Yes.
told us that I knew that you were the one I needed the advice from, and vice versa.
Sure.
And it wasn't a serious thing.
Yeah, I started joking about writing a book together when we first met by telling you that move over the guy that wrote the book, Million Little Pieces.
Okay.
Because he was all over the news and he was on Oprah, and then Oprah had egg on her face because later it came out that it was all made up, that there was nothing truthful about the book that he wrote, and even though she propelled him to fame, uh, she had to apologize to her followers, and so we were just bantering back and forth about all these people that we wanted to basically snark them. And so what started out as a joke eventually, 20 years later, ended up being a reality, very serious writing. And some of the people are telling you, Adele, that in one book, in one sitting, they couldn't put the book down because it was so captivating. And that was the whole idea of how I wrote it, is I wanted to hold your attention. I wanted to make it interesting so that you wouldn't put it down and never come back.
Yeah, and that was important to me as well. I mean, look, we could have gone on. A lot of it could have been more gossip for gossip's sake, but we really wanted to get through the story and we really wanted to talk about the healing. But we wanted you to, people, nowadays, not a lot of people read. We wanted people to read this book who maybe just didn't traditionally read in the first place.
Yes.
And so for 2.5 hours of your time to sit down and read this book, the print's relatively large. It's not a very long book. That way we know that we can give something out there to people so that they can get something out of it. And I think it's very valuable to people who are struggling and who, may feel a little hopeless or may feel like, am I doing all this work and am I going to get on the other side? And that's the other reason why, we're having these conversations. And that's why Escalante Mind Recode and the work that we're doing with Courageous Healing is here. It's because you and I both realize we can talk about, and we've said this before, we can talk about the journey. We can talk about what I went through with domestic violence all day. We can talk about the trauma and everything that I went through. But one of the things that you don't see people talking about is the healing process.
Yes.
You don't see a lot of that conversation. The conversation is the hot topic of, oh my God, look what she went through in the bank. Oh my God, look what happened. I mean, today everybody's obsessed with those crime podcasts and those TV shows that talk about who done it. So, but nobody talks about the after effects. Nobody talks about what happens after. And so I think it's important to sit here and to really bring to light, number one, that if you've been through something, you can heal. Number two, even if you haven't been through something, you can still spiral up with the techniques that you and I have. Number three, that you can live a life that you love and you can have your dreams. You can live your dreams. All you have to do is stop limiting yourself. It's not sounds that easy. It's more work than what it sounds like, but it's worth it. And when you see that value in that work, that's what's so important. And so that's why 20 years of really funny friendship and really great relationship that you and I have has culminated on something that you and I know is so valuable to so many people.
Tell us the definition of Joe Dispenza with personality, because that's the first time I heard it. I love it.
Oh, the personality is your personal reality?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
And it's so my final with that is, think about it. Who you are as a person defines the world around you. So if you're an angry person, you're constantly coming upon things and you're fighting and you're doing things, or if you're a victim or you're scared or you have some PTSD or you're uncomfortable in your life, you're not living your life to your fullest. Your personal reality is limited. If you're working on your healing journey, you're going to start to see your personal reality change.
Mm.
My personal reality is what it is today, just as yours, Victor, because of the work that we've done.
Totally. Well, friends, we're going to have to leave it there. And until next time, go out and have a great week.
Bye, guys.